What is VoiceThread? VoiceThread is a free software tool that's online, and it helps teachers create multimedia discussions for students held in the cloud. A VoiceThread is a series of multimedia slides, such as images, documents, videos, or PowerPoint presentations. Each slide has a comment feature where the viewer can type, speak, or webcam their comments. Teachers can use VoiceThread to create educational slideshows and guide students to interact with and comment on each slide. Student comments can answer a specific teacher-generated question, solve a problem, or reflect on a process. As you can see in this screenshot of a VoiceThread, a multimedia piece, in this case a photo, is large in the center of the screen. You can see my drawings on the image, highlighting what I want students to focus on. Around the image are the pictures of the students that represent the comments they've made in response to my guiding question. Okay. Students can respond by typing, webcamming, or, as you can see with my comments, using a microphone to record their comments. You can choose multimedia pieces like images, documents, or videos, and create thought-provoking questions for students to answer. Students then engage with each slide and respond via text, audio, or video. So what kind of media can be used for VoiceThread slides? You can use images like maps or graphs. You can use documents, videos, PowerPoint presentations. You can webcam pictures or videos, so anything that you create yourself you can use. You can also do screencasts, which is what I'm doing right now. There are many sources and formats that are supported by VoiceThread, and the support staff there is great. So if you need something supported, you can email them and they usually get back to you fairly quickly. So how do you communicate with a VoiceThread? Well, this is the bottom of a VoiceThread where the comments are. This is the image. The student comments would be over here. You click this comment button, and then it comes up like this. You click here and you can type your comments. Click here, you use the microphone to record. Click here, you use the webcam. The telephone option I don't use very often, so I'm not as sure about that. Make sure that you have you down here as your icon. If you need to switch it, you can click this and it'll bring up all the possible identities that you have saved on your VoiceThread account. As awesome as VoiceThread is, we have to remember that technology is a tool. It matters how we use it. So, the real question is, what tasks can students do in the comments? Students can answer questions that you ask them. They can ask their own questions. They can make connections to other things in the world, other media pieces, other things that they've read. They can offer suggestions, especially if these are other students' work that they're looking at. They can analyze, categorize, and synthesize different pieces within a VoiceThread. They can respond to literature or to another text. They can differentiate tasks by their own needs, and they can determine the intensity and duration of engagement in their learning. These last two are really important. Kids they're not always on task right away, and sometimes kids get lost because they aren't as focused at the beginning of whatever activity it is you're doing, and then they're lost for the rest of it. With a VoiceThread, students differentiate themselves by their own needs. If they need to rewind a video and watch it again, they can do that. If they need to go back and listen to your directions or your question again, they can do that. If they know all this stuff and they need to move forward quickly because they're getting bored and they don't want to listen anymore, they can do that too. So VoiceThread really lets kids differentiate their own learning. Some of the benefits of VoiceThread. First off, it engages both visual and kinesthetic students with multimedia pieces. So if you have kids that need to be a little bit more active and make responses right away to the things that you're saying, instead of watching a big long presentation, they can watch little short pieces and immediately be able to respond. It also allows students to respond with text, talk, or video. I have a lot of students that do not like to write. And if you ask them to write, they won't do it. But you ask them to talk or videotape themselves or webcam themselves, oh my goodness, do you get a lot of responses. It also creates a social incentive and an authentic audience. The social incentive is everybody gets to see what they've commented on. And so you really do your best to make your comment as real as possible and as worthy of comment by other people as possible. VoiceThread develops interpersonal skills and netiquette. which is how you are supposed to behave on the internet. It hosts galleries of student work, so you can put lots and lots of pieces of student work up there in a very easy-to-use space. VoiceThread scaffolds difficult tasks with multimedia sources and outside connections. If you use a VoiceThread and you have a difficult task, you can break it up into little parts with different media pieces for each part, hit a bunch of those learning styles, and make outside connections so that if students need more, they can go get more. And finally, it differentiates learning, practice, and review tasks to meet students where they are. So in the next 3 videos that you'll see, you're going to see 3 ways to use VoiceThread. There are lots more, but these are the 3 that we focused on for this web series. Activating background knowledge, asynchronous discussions, and mini lessons with practice and review. For me, activating background knowledge is probably the most important strategy for engaging students and leveling their knowledge. For students who have background in a topic, it jumpstarts their memory so that they can add to their knowledge, so that they have a base from which they can start building and adding new pieces of information and knowledge in an organized way. For students who don't have background or have no prior experience, using VoiceThread to activate background knowledge actually works to level the imbalance. The multimedia pieces give you a good mix that lets students get a quick media experience, and it builds their background so that they can actively participate in the discussion. So even students who don't have any background information in a topic, once you do an activating background knowledge activity with them, they will have some information to start building on. For 21st century learners, it is really important that they see things and that they have those visual cues. Videos and images are much more effective than text when it comes to activating or leveling background knowledge. The rich visuals give students something solid to grow from and a picture in their mind, and something that they can connect to for the rest of the theme or activity that you're working on. Let's go ahead and take a look at a VoiceThread that I made for my freshman students before we read Ishmael Beah's A Long Way Gone. My students had no background about this particular topic, about the Civil War or the diamond trade in Sierra Leone. They had no idea what was going on there. This was completely foreign to them. So activating their background knowledge had them talking and thinking about what it means to go to war, why children used as soldiers is a bad thing, and how to kind of wrap your head around this idea that this isn't a story about grown-ups, this is a story about kids, and that fundamental phase of growing up, only they're growing up as grown-ups in a war. And so they needed some background for that. I'll go ahead and show you the VoiceThread. There are 8 slides on my VoiceThread, and I'm actually going to show you the one with student comments. So these are my students and their comments for each one. The first thing that I did, you can just barely see it. The first thing that I did is I give a little background information on what they're supposed to be doing. Now I went over it with my kids, but this was a way to remind them once they actually got on VoiceThread what they were supposed to do. So it just says, hi, this is a VoiceThread talking about your background knowledge. Before you read the book, you can choose your comments, and I had already shown them this so that they knew what I was talking about. And then so some of them commented on this first one. Then I get to the next one, and I have this picture of a child soldier with a submachine gun in flip-flops and a teddy bear backpack. And I asked them, you can see in my comments here, I asked them to take a look at the picture and juxtapose these images of child and soldier. Now obviously I had gone over the word juxtapose and put it in context for them before, so they knew what that meant. It was one of our previous vocabulary words or literary terms, and so they knew what that meant. I wasn't throwing out the word juxtapose for no reason. But this image is really powerful, and I got some great comments like, I can't believe that kid has a gun. One kid said, he's holding that gun wrong. How old is this kid? So I get lots and lots of comments. It's sorry, you can't see the whole thing there. It lets kids have a chance to comment and make connections and share their personal experiences and really dig deep into what they know and what they want to know. You have a lot of sympathy comments. Some of the comments, some of the ones that were most powerful for me was comments like, wow, that looks just like, and then they'd say somebody, their little brother, or this kid down the street, or this kid that I used to know in middle school. And so there was these really deep personal connections to a child that obviously none of them knew. But just seeing him in this position, in this vulnerable position, was really, really important for them. So when you're looking for images, Daniel doing a webcam, when you're looking for images, make sure that you have something that's powerful and something that really gets students talking. I'm going to the next one. So in addition to images, I also used videos. And this video will play in the background. I actually have the sound turned down. This one, I do believe, if I look at my comment, this one is, give me just a second, I wrote it out here. This one is, yeah, The Soldier on the Run. Okay, so this is a real short documentary about this man who was on the run for 10 years. And his family had gotten killed. Soldiers were chasing him. He was on the run for 10 years. And so he talked about all the different things that he would miss by being on the run and not having a stable place to be. We had some really personal connections to this too. Things like, yeah, my parents move around a lot. I've been to these many schools. And so kids are building their own connections and ways of looking at this particular topic, seeing it from different angles, from different perspectives, and then trying to personalize it and make it something that they can relate to. Now, obviously, none of them are in war or going through what these people are going through, and yet it's a human experience to need to feel that sense of security that comes from a sense of home. Okay? This is the fourth one. This is an interview with Ishmael Bale, and his interview is fantastic. I mean, he is a child from Sierra Leone. They don't have a lot of money. He wasn't raised in a really wealthy society, and yet he speaks so well. And he speaks English so well. And he actually, as they go through, he learned English from listening to rap music, which is crazy. And then he went through rehabilitation and learned English through social workers that were helping him out. But he's very well spoken, and that's one of the comments that can say, wow, how old is this kid? He speaks so well. But to see him and then know that they're going to be reading a story about him as a soldier who killed people, they're just like, wow, that just doesn't seem right. And so as they get towards the end of the book, a lot of kids go back and watch this video, and it just blows their mind that he is the same kid that killed all of those people. This is a PowerPoint that I found online, and it does a really good job of just giving a quick history of the events in Sierra Leone and why there's a civil war there and the whole, blood diamond industry. And so this gives them some historical information that they would not otherwise have. It gives them a little bit of context for why people are fighting, and it's actually, I looked for a long time trying to find something that was interesting and exciting. This has a great soundtrack in the background. It goes really fast. It's an excellent text for this particular topic. And I just wanted them to have some background information. This is a video that shows a rehabilitation camp or a camp with survivors in it. And these people are watching a movie on this screen right here. And the movie is about the war in Sierra Leone. So it's the people of Sierra Leone watching a film depicting what's going on in their country, and then they have their reactions to it, and them saying, yeah, that happened to my friend, this happened here. It's a very graphic video. They actually show people getting shot in the street, and so I tell the kids that if they don't want to watch this one, they don't have to, which of course makes them go straight to this one and want to watch it. But the point of a video like this is to give them that sense of this really happens to real people, because the violence isn't movie violence, it's real violence. And immediately after this real violence, they have people talking about it and how it disrupts their family and how their country is torn apart and how violence is a bad thing. And so it's a very non-hyped version of violence, and I wanted them to have that in their visual repertoire so that as they were watching, they weren't thinking, oh yeah, blow it up, yay. They were thinking, wow, this really affects real people. This is another video. This is a documentary from Children on the Frontline, and it has also a lot of these very graphic visual images next to interviews with people who lived through it. And so once again you get this graphic. It's not nearly as I don't want to say light, but it's not nearly as personal. It's a lot more pulled back, and so you get more of a picture of all of these children and how it affects children on the front line of war. And then I've got one more video, and it's a persuasive video. And this is a great place where I can have kids talk about persuasive techniques. And if you were trying to persuade someone to give money or to sign a petition or to do something, how would you go about doing it? And so for this one, they have all this background on Sierra Leone, and now I'm asking them to look at a persuasive video that asks something of them in the end, and then to craft the different pieces. Like, tell me what they do, what's the most powerful part that really gets your sympathy? You know, what are the appeals to emotion? What are they? What are the visuals that really stand out for you that are the most powerful? And so the kids talk about that. So overall, for this activating background presentation through VoiceThread, I've had kids engaged in a lot of different skills. I asked them questions that help them or that guide them through each media piece. I asked them to do particular tasks. I asked them to look for particular things, but then also they get to watch these visually rich videos that show what's going on in Sierra Leone. And so I'll have kids, when we have discussions, they will pull pieces from these videos into their discussion, say, oh, it's like that video where so-and-so. And I was like, what video is that? The one on the VoiceThread. And so they do a really good job of pulling that information and remembering it, because it has jump-started their memories, and everything that they read from now on is going to build on that particular VoiceThread. And so that is activating background knowledge. So I love class discussions. There is probably not a better way for me to get to know my students and what they're thinking and how they're thinking than to discuss in class. I'm a particular fan of Socratic seminars. I'm not the best facilitator, but I do have a lot of fun doing them, and kids really get a lot out of those. The biggest problem with in-class discussions is that only one person gets to talk at a time. And so if you have a bigger class, or you have a lot of talkers in the class, you end up losing ideas and moving on before people are ready to move on, or staying on the topic too long for some people and then they get bored. And so it's a big management nightmare to have a class discussion really stay focused and let everybody participate. And so the second strategy is using VoiceThread for asynchronous discussions. Now, it's not something that should take the place of in-class discussions, but should be in addition to, so that you have kids that might not otherwise participate in an in-class discussion. They will participate in an asynchronous VoiceThread discussion. The greatest thing about this is it gives everybody a voice and lets everybody say what they want to say without having to wait their turn. And so you get your idea, you immediately put it on the VoiceThread. And that way you get to say what you want to say without having to hold on to it, hold on to it, hold on to it. Dang, I forgot what I was going to say. Or, oh, so-and-so already said it. So it's a great strategy for that, and for having discussions that really allow everybody to participate. One of the other problems I've had with class discussions is I'm never sure when to shut somebody down when they're talking for a really long time. I don't want to shut them down completely, but it's like, oh, okay, somebody else needs to talk now. And so with an asynchronous discussion, you don't have the one kid who monopolizes the entire conversation, and you also don't have the kid who would share except that everybody else is talking and they're just not comfortable raising their hand in front of class. So you get a lot more voices in an asynchronous discussion, and a lot more participation, although you don't get the give and take. So definitely use asynchronous discussions with in-class discussions, maybe even before in-class discussions, and use them that way. So here's an example of an asynchronous discussion that I did with my AP juniors. So here's what the discussion is. Let me give you some background on this class. So I have a class of AP juniors, and it is huge. I have 38 kids in this class. So if you think managing a class discussion with 20 or so kids who are all wanting to participate is hard, try with 38. It was an absolute nightmare to have class discussions. And so we did a lot of these. This is one for a project that they were doing. They were using war analogies to talk about different cultural things in society. So like the war on drugs, or the war on women, or the war on whatever. And so I threw out a bunch of examples of things in contemporary society that were treated like wars. They had opponents and weapons, and there were bystanders, and there was fighting going on. And so we used these war analogies to talk about different social things that were working in society. So we did this in conjunction with Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried. So as we were talking about him going through the process of being in a war, then we would talk about these other things. And then their final project, they got into a group and they picked one of these cultural things, and they kind of built a project around defining it, or using an analogy of war to define it. And so that was a really fun project. But this was the opening piece for that. And so we talked about wars, we talked about fighting and opponents and bystanders and weapons and all of this stuff. How does the media influence war? And then I gave them this voice thread. And so for this voice thread, what they were supposed to do is go through and look at each of the slides. There are 16 slides after this opening one. They go through each of the slides and they give their opinion about how is it a war. So is it like who are the opponents, who are the victims, who are the bystanders, what are the weapons, and they were just trying to dig deep and practice using the war analogy to describe things in contemporary society. And so this is my demo one. Each one I have me giving directions. You can't see the whole thing. This one's of Ellis Island, so this is a war on immigration. This one is reproductive rights. Okay. This one is wealth inequality, or the downfall of the middle class. Also, wealth equality. War on drugs. War on terror. So you can see there are different ways that they could go through it, and they had an entire class period to work on this asynchronous discussion. Now, this isn't the whole one. I stripped a lot of the comments away because I didn't have permission to show their faces. Sorry. The idea is that you have all of these slides or topics, and then people comment on them. So I had groups working together. I had kids working individually. I have a bank of computers in my room, so I had 10 computers. The kids were on my computer. There's a VoiceThread app, and so I had a lot of kids on cell phones that were answering questions. And either alone or with a partner or in a small group, they answered these and talked about how each one of these cultural things was a war. And that gave them lots of background information, and it also let me know kind of where they stood on particular issues and topics, and what topics seemed to be most interesting to everybody, so that when it came time to pick topics for their projects, I could say, hey, a lot of people were really interested in this, maybe that might be a good group topic. Okay, so they continue to go through and answer, and then this asynchronous discussion can be used in several ways. Like I said, for me, for this class, I used it to get their feedback, get them practicing thinking about war as an analogy, and to share their ideas and to get some information about maybe what would be good topics for their future project. You could also do this as like a pre-discussion where you have images or videos or text, and you have students go through it before you have an in-class discussion so that they're prepared for that in-class discussion. It would work both ways. It's a great strategy to use, and asynchronous discussions let everybody have a voice. A third teaching strategy to use VoiceThread is by creating mini lessons, either to learn or practice new skills or to review old skills. As you can see in this screenshot, I have a slide here and then a question here. Now, in addition to the question, I've got a couple of YouTube links in the comments. So if students need extra help, they can go directly to those links and see what they need to be doing. So for this one, it's asking them to talk about symbols. And so if they don't know what a symbol is, they're not going to be able to do this question. So I included some links in here so that students differentiate what they need. If they know symbols and they've been doing that forever, they don't need to go to those links and figure it out. On the other hand, if they are, I don't know what a symbol is, they can go right to that link, get a quick review, and then come back to the VoiceThread and say, okay, now I can answer this question. Before I move on to show you the actual VoiceThread, I just want to say that this particular VoiceThread was created through the National Writing Project's Vision and Voice site, and we use a piece from the Best Teen Writing. I used a piece called Caught Like Smoke. If you're interested in other things from the Best Teen Writing, it's by Scholastic. You can get the entire PDF version of this book through this website right here, which is voicebox.nwp.org, and then /vision and voice /front will take you right to the lesson plans that we developed for this book. The writing in this book is amazing. It's all teen writing through the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards contest, and it's great. It's very thematic about identity and growing up because it's all teen writers. And so if you are interested in that, like I said, the entire PDF is available on this website. You don't have to buy anything, or if you want to buy the book, you can go through Amazon and buy it too. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go to this VoiceThread for mini lessons and practice and review. Okay, so this is the Caught Like Smoke VoiceThread. I'm going to pause this for a second. In this VoiceThread, I use 5 slides, and each slide has a different little mini lesson with it. So if I was using this in my classroom, I would probably do it as either practicing these skills as you do the reading, or as a preview to try to find out exactly what students know and what students need help on. And then at the end I would do some sort of reflection so that students could tell me, did you have to use the videos to remember what a symbol was, etc. This is, like I said, based off a poem called Caught Like Smoke, and it's about a Muslim American girl and her kind of relationship with her mother as seen through her hijab. And for students that don't know, I put a picture here of 2 girls with a hijab so that they can have a visual of what it's talking about. If you read the poem and it's my hijab, and you have no idea what that is, you can't really connect. And so I put that picture in here. And then, like I said, with the symbols on there. The next piece, and I strongly suggest if you are creating your own videos, that every once in a while you do an extra normal video. This is through Extra Normal. I don't know if you can see the site. It's just extranormal.com. And it lets you create these crazy, crazy videos. I'm going to play it and then pull the sound off real quick, and you can hear it. It's very silly and lots of fun. There they go. All right, sound's coming off.
Okay, here's our tale. We started our journey in the city state of Athens.
Okay, so this one is about similes and metaphors, and this extra normal video is these two little alien-y things in a refrigerator, I guess, who are talking. They're telling a story, but they're using all of these similes and metaphors, and so it just piles on and piles on and piles on. If a student doesn't know what a simile or metaphor is or can't remember, this is a great video for that. If, on the other hand, you don't need to watch this, you don't have to, but I put it as the main focus because it is actually really fun. As annoying as their voices are for me, my kids just love extra normal videos. So that's that one. The next mini lesson is talking about theme and this relationship between a daughter and a mother. And so I just pulled a very simple image to go with it. And then my question is to find examples from the text about how the speaker and her mother, how their relationship and their connection is throughout the poem. And it changes, and so kids will be able to find different things on that. Like I said, the kids have a copy of this poem, and they can look through it as they're going. The fourth slide is talking about titles. And this title, Caught Like Smoke, is a good title. I asked kids to think about the title and then consider if they could rename the poem, what might you name it? Now, for some kids who are like, I don't know what to name things. And so I actually found a YouTube video about creating song titles. And so that's right here. I know you can't see because the edge of the screen is right here, but this video for creating song titles, and it gives lots of key points for creating titles. And so that's a little mini lesson on titles. And then the last one is talking about the theme of how something that you love can become a source of pain as you get older and have more experiences. So something that is very meaningful to you and represents a very deep relationship to something that is important, then all of a sudden it can be something that is used against you, which is the theme of the poem. And so I asked them to connect to something, and this is a personal connection, that something that's changed in their lives, something that they used to care about or used to love, and now has kind of a negative connotation for them, or may have mixed feelings about that. And then how do you cope with the idea that this thing has changed, or the relationship that you've had with it is changed? And so kids get a chance to react personally to that one. Okay. If you are doing videos and you're making your own videos, using screencast software is great. Using Extra Normal for that kind of quirkiness. Boki is another one that you can use. You can create an avatar, and your avatar can do things. There are a lot of cool things that you can do with technology that you can use in turn to be you and teach students particular skills. So if it's really, really boring skill, spice it up as much as you can with some great technology tools. That is all for this VoiceThread. This is a video on finding and making resources. This goes along with VoiceThread, so as you are doing your VoiceThread, if you want to find more resources or make some resources, this is kind of a guide to help you out and give you some ideas. It's not by any means a comprehensive guide, but it will get you things that you need to make a great VoiceThread. So I'm going to start with this document, and this document is available on the workshop for VoiceThread, finding and making resources. First, we've got images. You can use Google Images to find resources, and you can also use Microsoft Word to edit them. So I'm going to show you that really quickly. All right, so we go to Google Images, and I typed in how to be happy quotes. And so I just scan through, and I look for something that I think really speaks to me, and I picked this guy right here. And so once I click on that image, I have this information right here. If I click either View Original or Visit Page, it's going to give me the URL where that picture can be found. And that's the permanent URL. That's not the Google Images URL. And so I went to grab this picture. I just right-clicked it, and then I would put Save Picture As. And I'm going to save it to a Documents file. And I'm just going to save it right in here. And so click Save, and that's saved there. Then what I also want to do is I want to copy this URL. I'm going to put it either on a Word document or somewhere so that I have access to that information. Another thing that you can do if you are really focusing students on proper etiquette for citing sources, you can put things into Word documents. So just pick a blank document, and I'm going to start with the URL. So I'm going to paste that on there and give myself a little bit of space. I'll go back, and I will copy this image, go back to my Word document, and then paste it in there. And so I end up with this image here. This way, I can show students that I am citing my sources. And so I would add this Word document into the VoiceThread. If you want to click, this is really, really fast stuff, but if you double click the picture, it'll give you this text wrapping option. You put it tight, then you can move it around and do what you want to do. Make it bigger, smaller, however you want to move it around. And then if you want the same flexibility with your URL, you can put that into a text box and move it around. Okay, so then I would save this, and I'm going to save it into that first file, that 4th hour one. I'm going to click Save. So now I have this document right here in my URL, or in my 4th hour folder. So that is Google Images. And then we go back. We can also use, like I said, Google Images or Microsoft Word. Here's how I use Microsoft Word to grab text. So instead of doing text through, the actual website, I found a really fun website called, and I Googled how to be happy. It's a Pick the Brain website, and this is 14 timeless ways to live a happy life. Well, I might not want students to have to read all of this and then talk about it. And so what I might do is I might pick the ones that I wanted students to read, copy the information. Say I just want these two right here for the first one. So I'll copy it, and then I'll put it into its own Word document. Word document, and then I'll paste it right in there. Okay. And then I can also put that URL here so that students see me citing my sources. So I'll copy that, go to the Word document, put my sources in there, make it live, maybe. There we go. So then I have this for that. One other thing, since VoiceThread, and if you're not using VoiceThread, you can ignore this, but for VoiceThread, since the layout is more like horizontal, you can go to Orientation and do a landscape layout, and then this will fit really nicely into the frames. And I just want to save that. So, Documents Library, awesome. I can save it as that, that's fine. And then I save that one, and I have that to put into my VoiceThread. Okay, so back to my main document. Presentations. I'm sure everybody knows how to do a PowerPoint presentation. You can upload an entire PowerPoint to those. 2 other presentation softwares that you can use, and these use photos for presentations, are Roxio Photo Show, and that's right here. There's that site. And then Animoto, which is right here. They both have free versions that you can use. It's a little bit smaller pieces of text, but if you have a lot of photos that you want kids to see rapidly, that's a good way to go. Also for videos, you can use YouTube, and you can also, I didn't put this on here, but TeacherTube has some great videos too. And that's just teachertube.com. If you're going to use YouTube, you actually have to download your YouTube files if you want to bypass your filter to get onto VoiceThread. And so iLivid is a downloader. It is a free downloader, or you can just Google how to download a YouTube video and you'll come up with lots of options. But be careful, anything that's free has lots of pop-up stuff with it. And so when you go through, make sure you read all the install information and unclick anything that's extra, because you don't want to change your homepage and you don't want to do all of those other things and have lots of things pop up on your computer. So just read through and be thoughtful, and you shouldn't have a problem. Alright, the next one is screencast. I'm doing the screencast right now. So what you're hearing is my voice, and you're seeing my computer screen and everything that I do there. Okay, so this is a screencast, and I actually have another workshop on screencasting. So if you want to use it now, you can click there. You can get a free Screencast-O-Matic account, and you can do short videos on it. It's excellent. If you want to create other types of animations, this is a Mashable site, and I actually have this pulled up. It's a Mashable site for creating your own animations, and it's got 6 different animation creation sites on there. And so you've got GoAnimate, you've got Devolver, which has got some kind of fun things in there. Animasher is a really, really easy one to use. You just drag and drop things in there. Extra Normal is fantastic. I've used Extra Normal. It's some really funky stuff. I've found a lot of good sites from that too. And Voki lets you create an avatar. And then Zimmer Twins, I have not used that one. But anyway, this site, or this website here, the 6 free sites, it will give you some different things if you're looking to be a little bit more creative. These are the images, video, and article that I download for the VoiceThread, and so if you want to check those out, you can. And that is it on creating your own resources. Alright, so this is a basic how-to for VoiceThread. I'm going to start with the very easy things like registering, and then I'll show you how to go through and how to make your own slides, how to record your voice, all of that stuff. So first we're going to start by registering. So put your name, put your email, and for this I'm going to use my demo email. And enter it again. Of course I picked a really long email. And then pick a password. And then register. Okay. Now you do have to activate your account. And so you go to your Gmail account. And I'm going to have to log off. Sign in. Okay, so I'm logged in, and now I'm going to go to my Gmail and go to this email that says VoiceThread account activation, and I'm going to activate my voice now. This is important if you want students to be able to do VoiceThread in your classroom. If they have a Gmail account, depending on your school's filter, you might not be able to let them, or they might have to activate their accounts at home, just so you know. So our account is activated, so now I can sign in. And you put your email address and your password. Okay, so once you get to this and you are on your own, You can browse. That means you can look through other people's VoiceThreads that have made them public. There's some really cool ones out there. So, for example, if you wanted to do something like the Odyssey, I happen to know there's some cool ones on the Odyssey out there. And so you go to browse, you type in Odyssey, and all of a sudden you get all of these Odysseys. Now, definitely you want to go through and check them first before you start assigning them to students. You can also go to My Voice, which is this one right here, and they start you off with 6 demonstration videos: how to set up your microphone for Windows or Mac, how to do comment moderation, video doodling, very fun, and this is your basic VoiceThread in 1 minute. Mine's going to take a little bit longer, so if you decide at this point you don't want to listen to me and do theirs, that's fine. And then there's a description and some examples. So we are going to go ahead and create one. We start here. We're going to upload our content, and these are the media pieces that we've chosen. Now, I always do all my research first and then put everything into a file. If you want to see how to do that, I did a video called Making and Finding Resources, or Finding and Making Resources, and that shows you some ways that you can do that. I've already saved my resources to that folder, so now I'm just going to upload them right from here. And so I go to Documents. I put it in my 4th hour because it was first. And if you want to do more than one, just hit Control and highlight them, and then click Open, and it'll upload all of your documents that way. It does take a second, so I'm going to pause, and it's done. So I've put the image. I put the image on a Word document, and then I put some text from the other one. You can also do videos, and so I'm going to go to my computer and find my video. Okay, so I'm going to go find my video. It's all the way down here at the bottom. And so I'm going to upload that also. And I'll hold off for a second and wait. Okay, so sometimes videos take a while to upload. Anyway, I've got these 4 pieces, and I'm just going to stick with those 4. And remember that technology is great, but you really need to be able to have good tasks that students are working with. And so the comment feature is where you set the task. The student looks at the media, they read it, they view it, they watch it if it's a video, and then they do whatever you ask them to do. And this is the comment feature where you ask them to do things. I'm going to upload my identity later. I can put my picture right in here if I want to do that, but I'm going to do it later for now. If you want to upload it, it goes straight to your computer and lets you upload. So I'll do that later, and then this is going to be my icon. Okay. For this piece, I'm going to make the comment about summarizing. So I want my kids to read this and then summarize and give me 3 details. So I'm going to comment, and for this one I'm going to type it, and I'm going to say, please summarize this text, and then I'll give them a little reminder, giving the main idea and at least 3 details. So I kind of embed in there what summarize means, and then I'll click Save. And then so when students answer this, they will click here to see what I've written, and then they will make their own identity and do the task that I ask. For the next one, for this one, I've actually got this one twice. I've got it once as a picture and once as a Word document. So the first task that I wanted them to do with it is I want them to make a personal connection. And I'll go ahead and record this. So here I'm going to go ahead and record. Okay, and then it asks me if I want to allow my microphone. I click Allow. And I'll say, on this one, I want you to make a personal connection. It says, respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, grows you, or makes you happy. Think of a time when you had to choose to stay in an unhappy situation or leave. What factors helped influence your decision? Okay, so on this one, I want you to make a personal connection. It says, respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, grows you, or makes you happy. Think of a time when you had to choose to stay in an unhappy situation or leave. What Okay, and then I liked it, so I'm going to save it, and then that's what's going to pop up as my recording. The last one I'm going to webcam, or the third one I'm going to webcam. And so I'm going to move on to the next one. It's the same one, but I'm going to do a different task. And you're welcome to do this. If you find a great piece that has lots of things you can do with it, use it more than once. So I'm going to show you the webcam this time. This should be interesting. Here we go. And it gives you the countdown, 3, 2, 1. The phrase "easier said than done" applies to good advice that is hard to follow. Do you think it applies to this quote? Give an example. Okay, and then I see myself recording.
The phrase "easier said than done" applies to good advice that is hard to follow. Do you think it applies to this quote? Give an example.
Okay, and then I save it. Sorry. And I end up with that one. And then my last one, I have a video, and so I want kids to watch the video first, and it'll ask me when I want to record. And then I have a question to go with this one too, and I'm just going to type this one in. I'm going to say, which parts of the video were most powerful to you? And then, how do you feel after watching this video? And this is a video that has a little song to make you feel better about when things go bad. And so it is a really powerful song. So I'll save that. And then for any video, it asks me, do I want this comment to play before the video, instead of the video, or after the video? And for this, I'm going to put before the video. So my comment will pop up first, and then the video will play. Okay. And then when I'm done, I end up with this last page. I can add it to my voice page. If it's not mine, obviously it's already going to add when it's mine. I can copy the link and share it. So this is my VoiceThread link, and anybody that goes to that can see it. I can invite people via email. I can send, I can invite people via the friends. I can send an email, or I can embed it in a website if I have my own website. You can also export to an archival VoiceThread for offline use, but you do have to pay for that. So I will copy the link and share. Yay. Okay, and then it gives me, my publishing options. And that's this little one right here. Okay, publishing options is important. If you don't click allow anyone to view, nobody can see your VoiceThread. It's completely private. So you want to click that one. If you want students to make comments, you got to click this one. If you want to moderate the comments, that means that the comments show up in your folder, but they do not post to the actual VoiceThread until you okay them. Then you click here. I usually don't do this unless, they changed it, it's upgraded accounts only. I usually don't do this anyway unless I really think my students can't handle making their comments. I do a good job with talking to them about netiquette and what they can and can't say online and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, so I usually don't moderate comments. And then showing on the browse page for upgraded accounts only. Okay. So anybody can view it and comment it, but it doesn't show up in the browse page and you're the only one who can edit it. Okay? And then that's your VoiceThread. So when you go to My Voice, we're going to give it a title, and that's Be Happy. How to be happy. And this is for if you want to tag it to let people search, but we're not going to tag it this time. And then we save. And then this one shows up in My Voice. Okay, so when I open up my account and I go to My Voice, I will have this VoiceThread right there. Okay, I can always change my options. I can share it, I can edit it, I can make a copy of it. Making a copy is great if you want different classes to do the same thing, but you don't want them all in the same VoiceThread. And you can delete it, but you can't get it back. So make sure if you delete, you make sure that's what you want to do. And that's the end of the VoiceThread tutorial.